Hi everyone, Breathe Any Deep Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new TRICOT record, Fudeki. This is the 7th full-length LP from Kyoto rock outfit TRICOT, who have been dropping quite frequently lately, so much so that I almost missed this new album here that they put out just before the holidays. And given the title as well as the front cover here, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this album is in one form or another a sister album to their previous full-length LP, Jodeki, which was a refreshingly varied album for the band. A very colorful and mathy blend of Japanese pop and rock, with maybe some jazz nuances tossed in here and there from time to time. And it sounds like on this new one, Fudeki, that the band's sense of adventure is yet to be stifled, because you hear it all over the album's bold highlights. It comes up in the cheeky and playful funk guitars on Achoi. The speedily sung verses on this track coast into one of the smoothest and most harmonious choruses on the entire LP. The song gets even cuter and more explosive as it progresses with these huge hits of gang vocals and really crisp drums. There's also Jodan Kente with its sweet and sticky vocal melodies on the verses, delivered over these groovy drums and shimmering beds of guitar that come across kind of mysterious and strange, like the theme to a spy movie. Love the intensity the song picks up on the back end too, as it becomes one of the most riotous dance cuts on the LP. Then there's End Roll, which I think has the best vocal performance on the entire record. There's so many nimble and angular vocal melodies on this track, some octave jumps too. The band is really firing on all cylinders with this track, but not losing their pop appeal in the process. And speaking of losing pop appeal, the band gets kind of raw on the track Android, with a super claustrophobic mix, a lot of distortion, and some really overblown drums. I have been critical of some of the band's tracks in the past, sounding like something along these lines, but in this instance, it sounds very much intentional that everything is so saturated, is so distorted, and it does give them a little bit of an edge this time around and kind of a noise rock appeal. Now, beyond this, I wouldn't say there are a lot of duds on the record, but there are tracks that I was kind of wanting more from. The transition into the chorus of Ool is a little uneventful in my opinion. The track ends so abruptly too. The only thing about it that really stands out is that the drumming on it is absolutely insane, really the most relentless on the entire record. There's Crumb, which is a slow burning ballad, and I think there are some admirable elements to this track at its core. The tune isn't too bad. The vocals do get more passionate as it moves along, but for the most part, the washed out guitar layers, the half-hearted performance overall just kind of leaves the track feeling kind of drab. The more spacious mix and impassioned singing on Kujira is really what makes that one the superior ballad on the album, even with some of the guitar embellishments on this cut sounding like some very limp post-rock guitar twinkles. My biggest issue with the album beyond here is that it doesn't really stick the landing, and I'm not sure the band knows how to tie this thing up. There's Aquarium, which I think is one of the most righteous songs on the entire LP, but it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb because the sound and performance on this track is a little messy. It's raw in the way that you might expect from like a live recording or a bootleg or something like that. The mix and instrumentation just comes across a little flat, much flatter than many of the other more dolled up cuts on the record. Then there's the title track, which is a kind of weak attempt in my opinion at some 90s post-grunge crossover with the way the riffs and drums are vibing on this one, though I think TRICOT's interpretation of this sound is kind of awkward. Not nearly as raw or wild or as hard-hitting as you would want something in this genre to be, and I think that is spelled out pretty clearly in their attempt to come through with like this kind of chaotic Nirvana style Endless Nameless-esque, finale here, and it just doesn't really come together all that well, and it just doesn't read as truly out of control or chaotic. Then next, there's a remix of the title track from the last album, kind of finalizing things, and I just don't really see what's so transformative about this remix outside of, some vocal bits being switched around, and it's much synthier, I guess. It's not awful, but I just fail to see what it brings to this project, and I would much rather prefer to hear the original. I mean, I think this record overall is a pretty decent effort from TRICOT. It's got some great tunes, variety, some good production on most of the tracks. They continue to be one of the more standout Japanese bands and math rock bands out there today, but I think this album still features some glaringly dull and underwhelming moments that could have been either left on the cutting room floor or improved in some form or fashion. I'm feeling a light 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, TRICOT forever.